an easiest question. I guess sum up the year for what it was like for beef producers in Alberta.
Well, it's been kind of a crazy year for producers with weather. We had horrible harvest weather at the end of last year. We started out the spring with good moisture, and sometimes too much moisture that made some producers have trouble seeding. But then southern Alberta was dry all summer and a drought, and northern Alberta had another bad year of harvest. So the weather's been crazy. Certainly one of the things that's affected producers starting in BC was the wildfires, but then we ended up with wildfires in Alberta that created a lot of hardship for the producers affected by it. Trade is a real concern for us. We're starting to see the impacts of the U.S. presidential election on NAFTA, which has been really good for the cattle industry in all three of Canada, United States, and Mexico. So we're really concerned about potential changes in NAFTA. But Prime Minister's in China, and we got increased access for our beef in China announced yesterday. And there's people trying to resurrect the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So for the industry, on those sorts of fronts, producers actually are doing pretty well, and prices have been relatively good this year, but it's topsy-turvy with weather, and it's been challenging.
What are the most common questions, issues that you're hearing from producers in regards to all this trade talk that's been going on?
Well, they ask about NAFTA, the future of NAFTA, and obviously the Trans-Pacific Partnership for Canada. It's really important for us to have some sort of agreement that gets us on more equal footing with Australia in Japan, or we're going to lose the Japanese market. So the countries that are trying to resurrect the Trans-Pacific Partnership without the United States, we're supporting that. We're looking at how we can get more, take advantage of our increased access in Europe. So producers in Alberta especially are aware of how important exports are to our industry. So they always are looking to find out what's going to happen with trade deals.
Right, and in regards to the deal yesterday that was announced with China, sort of thing, how much does this mean to the individual producer?
Well, for individual producers, it just gives us another market and gives our processors another market. And the key thing for the processors is that the more places they can send beef to, the greater value they can get out of each carcass, because they don't want to sell the whole carcass to one location. They want to sell the parts of the carcass to that place that'll pay the most for it. China, there's some products that China will pay more for than we would get in North America. So it opens it up. It makes the carcass more valuable, and that's passed down to individual producers in pricing that they get for their cattle.
Outside of trade, what else do you work here on the offices of ABP?
Well, provincially, obviously, there's the producers are still trying to understand where the province is going. We've seen a raft of labor legislation this year. So employment standards, labor relations, the recent announcement on occupational health and safety, workers' compensation. And I think farmers and ranchers are really still struggling to see what this is going to mean for them. And so one of the presentations we're having tomorrow at our annual general meeting is going to be from a safety expert who works with farmers and ranchers on developing safety plans for their farms. But we're trying to figure out what this legislation means for individual farmers and ranchers and how they can deal with it.
Right, and I guess how does the office of ABP help with ranchers?
That's exactly what we're trying to figure out. What is our role in terms of helping the producers of the province? So there's 16,000 of them, so it's hard for us to provide individual assistance to them, but we're trying to figure out what can be our role in terms of leading them. We've formed an industry-led, along with other groups in the industry, we formed an industry-led Farm and Ranch Health and Safety Association. It's the Ag Safe Alberta Society, which we think will lead our efforts with education, awareness, and training. And apart from the legislation, we see this as a step towards actually making all workers on farms and ranches safer.
Excellent. Any concerns on the disease, illness front? I know BTB is pretty much...
Well, we had a report this morning. The investigation of the bovine tuberculosis case is just about finished. So we're pleased to see that it's just about wrapped up. They'll be probably finished the testing on ranches. They're in the final phase of testing. This is the trace in, so animals that came from outside into the herds. They'll be finished the testing on the farms and ranches before Christmas, probably the test results after Christmas, but by the spring there's been nothing more found, which is good news, and we think that investigation will be complete, so that's positive.
Looking forward to 2018.
We are very much. We're looking forward to 2018. It'd be nice to have the weather cooperate and then everything else, and if we can get some positive trade negotiations, if we can get something settled with the United States on NAFTA and good cooperation from the weather, then I think it would be, demand is strong, and it would be a really good year for producers.
Sounds good. And quickly on herd numbers in Alberta, do you guys have any sense on if they're...
We're not seeing expansion yet. So it's still despite several years of good prices, we just haven't seen expansion. So we're still in what seems to be a really prolonged phase of consolidation. So the numbers aren't changing significantly, and we're not seeing signs of people keeping breeding heifers in large numbers, large enough numbers to expand our herd. So I think what we've said, and our delegates, we asked them what can we do to encourage more young people in succession in the industry, and we do have a really good group of new young delegates this year, which we're really pleased to have. And they say the best way to encourage young people to be in the industry is for the industry to be financially sound, and that's what we'll be focusing on.